What happens is you start getting in shape, you start doing something for yourself, and then some nutritionist comes along and says, well, are you getting this? Well, you're still eating that. Meanwhile, you're way healthier than you were. Welcome back to the Case by Case Training Podcast. My name is Ben Case, and this is episode 8 of the podcast. Now, if you've been following along at all for the last several episodes, we've talked so far about the industry itself, the health and fitness industry, some of the issues that exist. And we've also discussed mindset and, somewhat how the industry itself has impacted the mindset of many people. We've talked about as well in more recent episodes how the ultimate factor in weight loss is calories in versus calories out. And so really at the end of the day, it comes down to figuring out how you personally are going to get to the calorie goal that you need to hit in order to lose weight each day. And that can look a combination of different ways. And so that's where we're kind of heading now, is kind of customizing what your daily plan is going to look like for you, your lifestyle, I should say, even for you, in order to get results and be able to maintain them because it works with your life. We looked at how do you figure out your exact calorie needs. And this was a couple episodes ago. In episode 6, we talked about your exact calorie need for your weight loss goal. In the last episode, we looked at a tool called MyFitnessPal, and we talked about how to use this app or this tool to track your calories and start getting an idea of if you're anywhere close to that goal number that you need to be averaging in order to lose weight. And the beautiful thing about MyFitnessPal is it allows you to live a flexible lifestyle where it's not so much about what you're eating as it is hitting your calorie goal in order to lose weight. Now, yes, when we're talking about health in general, what you eat will still matter. And so we're going to talk today about a few more tips. I'm going to give you 5 tips when it comes to calorie counting, when it comes to tracking your calories and hitting your calorie goal. We're going to look at 5 tips for doing that in a way that ultimately ensures you're eating enough food, getting enough nutrition specifically in your diet, that you're not lacking nutrients that are important to you, and also feeling full, not feeling like you're starving at the end of the day because you're just restricting a bunch of calories or cutting out a bunch of things you enjoy eating, and then you're just starving yourself because you've lost the joy of even eating the foods that you have to eat. And then that leads right into the last one, how to do this all while eating foods you still enjoy. So it's like the best of all the worlds, eating foods you enjoy, hitting your calorie goal, which will ensure the weight loss, and not feeling like you're starving and getting enough nutrition that you're not unhealthy, because you can lose weight and still be unhealthy. And so we want to make sure we're doing all these things at once. And it is possible to do. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about some tips that will help with that. So tip number 1 is that rather than focusing so much on the daily calorie goal, and we'll just use an abstract number for today. Let's just say your daily calorie goal is 2,000 calories, just because it's easy to use that number. If it's 2,000 calories a day that you need to hit, that means for the week, if you multiply 2,000 by 7 days, it's going to be 14,000 calories a week. And this is something that I tell all of my clients. I help them with some of these types of tips because it really can make a big difference. Even though, yes, at the end of the day, it's calories in versus calories out, how you get there and knowing some of these tips can make a big difference in actually hitting that number. I understand that it's a little unrealistic to think that every day you're going to be able to nail on the head the exact amount of calories that you need to eat. Now, the first thing you need to recognize is we're trying to get close. If you're at like 1,998, it's like, oh no, I need 2 more calories. Or even if you're, 40 calories over one day or something, it's okay, because also the reality is you're not going to be perfect even if you actually are perfect. So what I mean by that is even if your MyFitnessPal says you hit 2,000 calories on the head, you probably didn't. There's a variance allowed when tracking nutrition on the labels. They're allowed like a 20% variance. So it's probably not even fully accurate. Some people will use this fact to say tracking calories is pointless. I would say no, it's not pointless. Why would it make sense to say you should have no idea what you're eating, since you might be a little bit off on what the reality of the number is? Yes, you might be a little bit off, but we're going for averages. And so the reason that's important is, one, yes, you don't need to obsess over hitting the exact amount, because the reality is you're not hitting that exact amount anyways. You're going to be close, and that's the point. But also, you don't need to worry so much about each individual day as much as the entire week. And really, we could even extend it to the month and the year. At the end of the year, what were your averages? On average, did you eat more calories than you burned? Or did you eat less than you burned? And so when we focus and space it out a little bit further than each individual day, it's helpful because, one, let's say you have a bad day and maybe you had a birthday party or something happened where you went over on your calories and like, shoot, I went quite a bit over today. A lot of times what people do is they just say, well, I messed up. And then they go on the next day to eat the 2,000 calories that they're supposed to hit. And they don't make any adjustment for it. And so what you can come to realize is, okay, at the end of the day, if I still hit the calories for the week, I'm still going to get the results. So just one bad day doesn't ruin everything. And this is helpful because this is where a lot of people end up getting discouraged and giving up because they have a bad day, or they feel like this isn't realistic because what happens on this day when, I have to eat this, or like, this is the only meal I have available. Like, do I just not eat that day? Do I not eat cake on my birthday, and celebrate a little bit? Like, what do I do? Well, no, you can have one day where maybe you go over a little, and then you can average it out still for the week. Another tactic or tip for doing it by your week is, if a day's coming up in advance, you could eat less calories the days leading up to it as well. So you could kind of store up some calories. If I know that, hey, we're going to be having pizza on this night, and yeah, I could still have 2 slices and fit it in my calories, but I'd really like to have 5 slices because I just want to enjoy myself and have a few more pieces, but then that's going to put me over on my calories. Okay, figure it out ahead of time. Put it into MyFitnessPal. See, what's 5 slices of pizza? Okay, that's going to put me at this many calories over for the day. All right, I've got 3 days until that day of eating the pizza comes. I'm going to eat a little less on these 3 days to account for that day when I am going to eat a little more. And I don't have to feel bad about it. I don't have to feel any kind of guilt. I'm still going to lose weight. I'm still eating the proper amount of calories for my body and what it needs in order to lose that weight and not feel like I'm overeating or doing something bad by eating pizza. And I think this is where people get an unhealthy relationship with food, and they have a hard time because they think, how could I eat 5 pieces of pizza? That's bad for you. Pizza's bad for you. I got to cut out this. I got to cut out that. They think about, I got to cut out bad foods. And I'm here to tell you that, sure, in an ideal world, if you could avoid eating any bad foods and just only eat perfectly healthy foods and whole foods, that would be ideal and you'd be healthier. Yes. Are you going to stick with that long term? Because most people, if they're honest, aren't going to do that for the rest of their life. They're able to do it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then at the end of that, they go back full swing to eating all those unhealthy things again. So if you're going to do that anyway, if you're going to go back to eating those foods and being unhealthy because you're eating an extreme amount, you're eating too many calories and you're not getting in proper nutrition at all, why not figure out a way where, hey, I can still have these things. I don't have to have an unhealthy relationship where, I just completely eliminate certain foods, but I understand that I have to limit it to some degree. The next thing, so averaging your calories, figure it out for the whole week and try to hit that average number by the end of the week. And it's going to be a lot easier to do and maintain and not get discouraged when you have one bad day or go a little over one day. Tip number 2 is to get lean protein and to get it early. And what I mean by this, lean protein, is protein sources that are mostly protein. There's not very many fats, there's not very many carbs, which is going to mean it's going to be lower calories. The reason you want to do this, I've talked about protein a lot, and I'm going to continue to talk about protein and why it's important. The reason that you want to get lean protein sources, and we'll talk about the early part in a minute, but the lean protein sources, the reason for that is because, one, if you're not getting very lean protein and you're eating protein that has a lot of other calories, lots of fats, lots of carbs, you're going to get to the end of your day and hit your calorie amount, and you're going to realize, whoa, I did not get anywhere close to enough protein today. And so, yes, you will still lose weight, but there's a couple problems. If you're not getting close on your protein, you're way under on your protein. One, you could start to burn muscle instead of fat. Now, if you're doing weight training and you're stimulating those muscles while you're doing the weight loss, that's going to help you retain muscle. Also, if you have a lot of extra weight to lose still, you're probably not going to start tapping into burning muscle until you've burned more fat off. But down the road, eventually, you are in danger, if you're not getting enough protein, of starting to burn muscle. Additionally, you're not going to feel as full if you're not getting enough protein. And so oftentimes, very hand in hand with feeling full and, hitting your calorie goal and not feeling full when you hit your calorie goal, hand in hand a lot of times is how much protein did you get that day? Because some days you might hit your calorie goal, which will cause you to still lose weight, but you could be feeling starving at the end of the day. Or vice versa. You might get to the end of the day, hit your protein goal and hit your calorie goal, and you realize, like, man, I feel stuffed. Because protein does fill you up. Protein also does digest slower, and it does speed up your metabolism. So there's another great reason to make sure you're getting enough protein. Obviously, it's also important for muscle growth. And if you can put on some muscle in addition to losing fat, not only are you speeding up your metabolism even more by putting on that muscle, it also does help from an appearance side of things when you have more muscle to fat ratio. Even if you had as much fat as someone else, but you have more muscle, it is going to look as though you don't have as much fat. And again, that's only going to come into play as you start to lean out more. If you still got quite a bit of fat to lose, it's not going to be as big of a factor at this point, but it will down the road. So these are all things to consider with protein. Now, the reason we want to get it early is because it's going to help you, like we said, feel full. And so if you're getting it early in the morning, first thing, if you can get a lot of protein in your first meal, it's going to be helpful for helping you feel full the rest of the day. But additionally, I find for me, and this is just a personal thing, and again, you might do it different, and that's okay. You can still do it differently, and it can still work. But I find that if I can get the lean sources of protein early, and then at the end of the day or towards the middle to the end of the day, have more calories left and see like, ooh, I've still got all these calories left and I've got most of my protein in today, that makes it easier for me to know, okay, I've gotten a decent amount of healthy foods in, nutritious foods that I needed to get in today, and now I'm left with these calories that, I could do what I want essentially with them. I could eat something that's, if I'm still feeling hungry, for me, it's not worth it to just eat something that's going to use up all my calories and now I'm going to bed hungry. I don't like feeling hungry. So if that's the case, I'm going to still probably eat something that's going to fill me up and be less calories. But my point is, if I can get to the end of the day and feel full because I got all my leaner protein in the morning, I got, the healthier foods early in the day, and now towards the end of the day, I feel full enough that that extra 500, 600 calories, 1,000 calories, whatever it might be, I can use it towards things that I like and I enjoy. And yeah, sure, they're not the healthiest options, but I know I'm getting enough of the nutrients I need because I'm feeling full at the end of the day. When you're feeling hungry, that's a good sign that you probably didn't get enough of the right types of foods that day. Or at best, maybe you still were getting lots of healthy foods like nuts and things like that, but they are so packed with calories that you just are not going to feel full. And, that's not how we want to go about this. We want you to feel full and get the foods you enjoy at the same time. And so the goal is finding the protein that is lean, finding the healthy foods that don't have as much calories in them, and again, ones you enjoy. You don't have to just go out like, oh, I have to eat broccoli because I'm trying to be healthy now. If you hate broccoli, don't eat broccoli. Call me crazy, but eat the foods you like. I'm sure you have some healthy foods out there. Yes, you need to get some vegetables in there. You need to get some fruits in there. You need to get some different things, get a variety. But if you get a variety of vegetables and fruits and you find some different things that you enjoy, that you like to eat and can eat a lot of and feel full on those healthy foods, if you're not getting, this one or that one or another one, you're getting enough. If you get enough of those vitamins and nutrients from a variety of sources, it's not worth over stressing about. And I'll just tell you this too. We're going for improvement at this point. If you want to get to the point where you're like micro looking at, what nutrients am I, lacking a little bit in, and what can I change here, and what fruit and vegetable do I need to add in to make sure I'm getting this nutrient, or maybe what supplement do I need to add because I'm lacking in this or that. Listen, that's great if you get there. That is not your starting point. You do not need to worry about that right now. You need to worry about being a little bit healthier than you were yesterday. And that means that you don't need to focus on cutting out entire types of foods at this point. Like I said, you need to focus on hitting your calorie goals, which is going to ensure the weight loss. And you need to focus on finding healthy foods you like and enjoy and eating those, and eating as much of them as you can so that you feel full and that you are still getting good nutrients. But it's going to be improvement from what you've been doing. And you need to be okay with a little bit of improvement at a time, because you're not ready. And this is where people go wrong. You're not ready for the guy who's been bodybuilding for 10 years' workout program. You're not ready for the person who's been dieting and is on top of their nutrition for the last 15, 20 years. You're not ready for their nutrition plan. And the problem is a lot of what's out there is geared towards people who are more extreme and have been doing it for years and are obsessive over it. And they're really, extremely focused on every little nutrient they need to get. And then, so what happens is you start getting in shape, you start doing something for yourself, losing weight, exercising, start eating a little cleaner. And then some nutritionist comes along and says, well, are you getting this? Are you getting that? Well, you're still eating that. And they pick it all apart. Meanwhile, you're way healthier than you were when you started. Meanwhile, you're improving drastically from where you were. And you might get there where you're paying attention to every little micronutrient and making sure you got this and it's all balanced. And sure, if you get there, great. If that's your thing and you can do it in a healthy way that's not creating, body dysmorphia and, unhealthy relationship with food and all these other things, then that's fine. And that's great if you get there. But you're not there. You're skipping 10 steps to try to jump to that. And so don't get so caught up. Don't get confused when I say you can eat pizza or you can eat these different things, or, don't eat broccoli if you don't want to eat broccoli. That's the steps you need to take right now. And it's where you need to get and be okay with and recognize, hey, this isn't so bad. I can do this. I can maintain this. This isn't miserable. I'm not starving. I actually kind of enjoy this. I'm getting to eat foods I still like, and I'm losing weight. I'm going in the right direction. I'm no longer going in the wrong direction. And if we get to a point where you've lost 50, 60 pounds, whatever it is you need to lose, and you're like, hey, I got here and it wasn't some extreme path. It's now a lifestyle for me. I've created the new habits. I have a whole new view of food and relationship with food. And then you start worrying about, hey, you know what nutrient am I lacking? What thing might I need to add in, or what thing could I change here or there? You'll make those little changes as you go over time, and that's okay. But it's like we have this desire to flip a switch and do something extreme and change everything. That's not going to last. You're going to do it for 30 days, 60 days, whatever. Maybe you do it for a year, but it's not going to last. And you can quickly undo everything that you took all that time to do because you didn't learn a healthy relationship and lifestyle that's maintainable and is slowly getting you closer and closer into the right direction and the right path. So we talked about averaging the calories out. Don't get super obsessive of each day perfectly hitting the calories. Getting lean protein, getting it early. Tip number 3 is figuring out where you're wasting calories. And oftentimes people don't realize just how many calories in a day they are consuming, extra calories that really just aren't that worth it. And I don't just mean like it's not worth it, like I don't think it's worth it. Like you probably wouldn't think it's worth it if you realized, whoa, like 2 tablespoons of butter is that many calories. I would be fine with 1. Like I just put that extra one because, why not? But sheesh, if it's going to make that much of a difference in my calories, and I'm doing this every day, if it's, a meal I eat regularly, I'm going to cut that back to 1. It's still going to taste great to me. And that's totally worth the extra amount of calories it gets me each day. This is just an example. We were eating breakfast burritos that my wife was making, and we were using tortilla because, again, we could fit it in. If we didn't feel it was worth it, she's made them sometimes where we don't use the tortillas, so we have a few extra calories there. But if we want to eat the tortillas, we'll eat the tortillas, and it's some extra calories. Oh well, as long as you're hitting your calories. So we had these tortillas though, and what we did realize is there was another brand we got one time because they were out of the other ones, and it was like, I think it was like triple the calories. Same size tortilla, not a whole lot different. It was like the same type of tortilla even, like I think they're both flour or whatever, and one of them was just drastically more calories. So it was like, duh, that's an obvious one. Just trade it out. Okay, we're not getting that brand anymore. We're getting this brand now because it's significantly lower calories. You wouldn't know that, though. You wouldn't even pay attention to that if you're not thinking about these things and paying attention to what your calories need to be. So this is just a couple examples, but you have to figure out, hey, where am I maybe wasting some calories that are making this a little harder than it needs to be by the end of the day? A huge one is obviously drinking your calories. If you're drinking lots of things that have calories, you're going to feel very, very empty stomach by the end of the day. You're going to feel very hungry if you've drank a lot of your calories and you've not eaten much food, and you get to the end of the day and go, ooh, I ran out of calories and I didn't even eat very much because I'm drinking so much. So, and I'm not talking about any specific type of drink. It's not, it's pop or milk or one's healthier than the other. I'm just talking about the calories right now. If you're drinking your calories, whether it's a healthy drink or not, it's going to not make you feel as full, and therefore you're going to end the day, hitting your calories a lot sooner than you probably would like. It doesn't mean it's not a black and white, don't drink any calories. You can't. You only drink water. If you only drink water, you will have a lot more calories to eat, and you will feel more full. And so if that's worth it to you, then great. If you still like to drink a drink here or there, then you can still do that and just recognize, okay, it's going to use up some of these calories. And so if it's worth it to you to do that and cut some calories out somewhere else, then go for it. Now, again, we talked about the fact that it's not so much what you eat when it comes to weight loss. It's about the calories. However, we still want to make sure we're getting enough nutrition in a day as well, right? We talked about that. But again, there's a perfect measurement for that. Are you feeling full? Because I promise you, if the calories you're eating are just pure junk, you're probably not going to feel very full at the end of the day. You're going to feel like it goes quick. And I could bring up an illustration. Maybe I will actually on the screen, because I put something together a while back in a blog post just to give an example from MyFitnessPal. And, there's a drastic difference in the amount of food you can eat when you're eating empty calorie foods. You can barely eat anything, and you're going to use up those calories, and by the end of the day, you will feel hungry. And so, again, that's a pretty good measurement to say, did I eat enough healthy things today to be getting the proper nutrition I need to help me feel full as well, and also still hit your calories? Because it's going to be a lot harder. This process is going to be a lot harder. You're going to feel a lot more restricted. You're going to feel a lot unhealthier also if you're not getting enough of the good nutrients to make you feel full, and to also help in all the other areas of life, to help you feel energized, to help you recover, and all those other things. So it is important. It's not that, oh yeah, eat whatever you want, don't worry about it, you'll lose weight as long as you hit your calories. It's not what I'm recommending. I'm recommending that you still feel full at the end of the day, to measure that you ate enough of the right types of calories, that you're getting your protein in, getting it early, Now, incorporating the first tip of averaging the daily calories, you could also average that one day, maybe you do eat pure junk food and it's not super healthy, and you don't feel that full. And the next day you eat super clean. All right, let's move on to tip number 4. This one might seem obvious, but it is good to actually do and to make sure you actually do it, to compile a list of healthy foods that you enjoy. And not just healthy. I think first and foremost, get a healthy list, compile things that are healthy foods, whole foods that you enjoy, you like to eat, you can stomach, you could eat them every day. And maybe it's not every day, but you could eat them multiple times and you can add them into your routine, into your diet. You need to have them available. So you're going to have to go to the store and actually pick up some of those healthy foods, because if you don't have the food available, then you're going to just eat what you have access to. And if it's all snacks and unhealthy things or fast food, that's going to be the only things you have available, then it's what you're going to eat. And again, you're not going to be able to eat very much of it. And then you're going to feel hungry at the end of the day, not getting enough nutrition, even if you're sticking with your calories and losing the weight. So it's not just about the weight loss alone. We got to look at other factors as well. So compile a list of those foods that are healthy, that you can eat and enjoy and don't mind eating. And make a list of them and then pick and choose, figure out the calories. It wouldn't be bad to mark next to them, what's the calories for the serving sizes, and figure out, okay, what can I put together here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that's going to help me, feel full and get those good nutrients in. And what's the calories going to look like after I eat this amount of these things. Additionally, and this isn't one of the tips, but kind of hand in hand with this, is eating multiple meals, not just snacking through the day, because a lot of people, oftentimes I find, they only eat like one meal, or maybe they don't even hardly eat a meal, and they just snack a lot throughout the day. And so if you're going to snack a lot too, another good thing to do is try to find some healthy snacks that you can eat and like, that are not just healthy, but also not super high calorie. And that's where I was kind of going when I mentioned the not just healthy. Also, yes, make a list of healthy things, but then also look at the calories and see, okay, some healthy things are still very high in calories. Just because it's healthy doesn't always mean that it's low calorie. If you ate the equivalent of peanuts to, a chicken breast in weight, you would be eating a lot of calories. You'd be done with your calories for the day. So, just recognizing that some foods that are still considered healthy, they're in the healthy food group, they could still be packed with calories. And so this is something to be aware of. And this often is where people get into trouble with the snacking, because maybe you don't snack on things that are just pure junk all the time. Maybe sometimes you are snacking on healthy things, but if they're high calorie, things you can eat a lot of without feeling full, then you're still going to struggle to not go over on your calories. So a tip for, this is again part of the same tip with the compiling the healthy foods. Along with that, eating more meals, actual meals where you're compiling a list of healthy foods and eating an entire meal that's going to help you feel full will also curb snacking. And again, that the protein early will help with that as well. So trying to get in actual meals of healthy foods, getting them in early, getting the protein in early, it's going to help. And again, find things you enjoy. I'm not saying like just choke something down in the morning. I'm saying find things that you like, compile a list of foods that are healthy that you enjoy, try to compare calories and see, hey, this one's going to be lower than this one and I like them both. Let's go with the lower calorie thing. And this is going to help with curbing hunger, curbing snacking, and also making sure that you're getting proper nutrition as well. All those things. So meals as well, not just like food items, but think about actual healthy meals. If you can make a list of healthy things that you also enjoy cooking. If you don't like cooking, maybe find a couple recipes that are easy that you can whip a few things together. So healthy foods, healthy meals and recipes, getting a list of things you enjoy and like, figuring out the calories on those, and trying to put something together that you could do and stick with and maintain and would enjoy. And again, it doesn't have to be every single calorie goes towards those. It's just, let's try to get a decent amount of my calories on things that are going to fill me up where I'm not starving through this process. And then we can add in with the leftover calories, the things that, I still enjoy and want to be able to have as well. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is to remember it's going to get easier. And I know that might sound cliche, but a lot of the flack that counting calories gets is the fact that just like some of the flack that I have given some of the other restrictive diets and things like that, that it's not maintainable. It's not enjoyable. People don't want to do it, and it's hard, and it's not fun, and who wants to count every calorie? And I'm not going to be able to stick with that long term. Well, a couple things. The difference is a restrictive diet doesn't get any less restrictive. A restrictive diet is just as restrictive the whole time. It's just as hard the whole time. It never gets any better. Maybe you get a little used to it, but more likely you get sick of it. And, same thing with a lot of other one-size-fits-all type things. With the calorie counting, one of the things, first of all, is it's geared towards you and your needs. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's ensuring that you're not doing too extreme, that you're doing what is reasonable and maintainable for you. And when it comes to the tracking specifically of the calories, it's not something you have to do all the time. It's not something you necessarily have to do year round. In my first update video that I did in the last one, talking about, kind of my process of losing weight, I mentioned that I only now track calories maybe a couple months out of the year. And then the rest of the year, I don't even track them because I'm at a point where I kind of know what I can eat, what I can't eat, and the amounts, and you get a good feel for it. You're going to get an idea of what calories are in certain foods. You're also going to get an idea of, essentially, you're creating meal plans for yourself when you track and you hit your calories for the day. One of the functions in MyFitnessPal is that you can copy that entire day. You can essentially take that day of eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, or however many meals it is, and if you hit your calories in that day and it's a good breakdown of the types of foods, there you go. That's one of your meal plans. And if you want to switch out this food for a different one this day, or you want to switch out that for this, you will have some structure to what it looks like, and you'll get an understanding of how this is supposed to go. And over time, it will get easier. It will become just part of your normal eating lifestyle, and you won't always have to track in order to maintain. You do, in my opinion, you will need to track in order to lose the weight initially, or you will have to be more restrictive. That's kind of your two options. Is either I'm going to track so that I don't have to be as restrictive. I can do things in a more maintainable, reasonable way to get to the point where I'm at the weight I want to be. And then from there, it's not like you just undo everything and just go back to eating only junk and eating as much as you want. You'll have created a way of eating that is realistic for you, maintainable, doesn't completely cut out certain food groups and things you like, and you'll continue that, but you won't have to track every single thing. And some days you might eat a little extra, but you'll also be aware of that, and you'll know, okay, I can accommodate for the next few days because I've done this. I've gotten used to this. I've learned how this works, and I know how to get results now. Whereas if you do the restrictive way, if you're not going to track, your other option is, okay, I'm just going to eat super clean, or I'm going to eat super restrictive, very few calories. I'm going to feel hungry. It's going to be very hard. Sure, I might lose a lot of that weight, but then what happens when you get there? You get to your goal weight, and now what? You didn't learn how to continue a lifestyle that's maintainable and reasonable, and you're going to just have to go back on that diet every time you put all the weight back on. And so that's the reality, and that's what you need to be thinking about towards the future, the end goal. What does that look like? Is it a lifestyle maintainable thing? And so, yes, you might not enjoy tracking calories. Maybe it's not fun. Maybe you don't like it, but it will get easier, and it's not something you necessarily will always have to do. We're working on creating a lifestyle that is going to be maintainable and work for you. If you go the other route of doing the super restrictive, sure, it takes a lot of the thinking out of it. You don't have to track, you don't have to do this. Just give me a restrictive diet, tell me exactly what to eat, and I'll go from there. I'll stick to it. I get that. That seems easier, but it's not in the long run. And it's still going to be miserable while you're doing it. It's hard. It's not actually easy. It's hard to do while you're doing it, but you can stick with it because somebody just told you what to do. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to worry about it. You didn't have to do any work on your own, but it is a lot of work. Actually doing it and actually sticking with it, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be difficult. And maybe you can do it and you can stick with it, but then what happens next? That's my question. When you reach the goal, now you don't know what to do from there. You don't know how to keep the results. You didn't learn how to eat in a healthy way that works for you long-term and is sustainable. And I know I've harped on this and I've said long-term and maintainable and all these things 1,000 times probably in these last several episodes, but I do hope that that's getting across and you're understanding it and why it's so important, and that you will start to see the benefit to doing things this way. Even if you've not done it before or not thought of trying this, or maybe you've tried it and it didn't really work that well for you because you haven't done it this exact way. I hope that this will help you and that you'll continue to follow along for more tips like these ones. I'm going to continue to give you information. And again, you don't have to do all these tips per se. I just want to remind you, these aren't magic pills to losing weight. It's not the solution. It's stacking solutions. It's taking different types of things that can be helpful and compiling them in a way that works for you. That one works for me. Tip number 1 works well for me. Tip number 3, I could see that going well. Tip number 2, I don't know if I could stick with that. Tip number 4 doesn't sound very good to me. So finding ones that work for you, and then I'm going to keep going through more, and there's other things we can talk about and add in. And at the end of the day, it's got to be the calories in versus calories out. How do you get there? Which tips do you implement to get there? That's going to somewhat be up to you, unless you want to hire a trainer who's going to help you customize that through talking through these things with you. But if that's not what the trainer's doing, if that's not what the program's doing, if that's not the diet you're signing up for, if they're not talking through these things with you to create that customized thing for you, then I would just tell you, my advice would be, don't do it. And you get what you pay for too. So it's probably going to be something that, reflects that. And I would just say it's not worth it. It's going to create those bad habits again. It's going to create the same issues that already exist, where you're going to be in this cycle of losing weight and putting it back on, losing weight and putting it back on. And so either A, you can continue to follow along with this and implement these things yourself. If you want to hire a trainer or a coach, find one that will take into consideration your needs, your preferences, and figure out how we can get there in the best way for you. That's going to work for you long term and be maintainable. So continue following along. We're going to keep going through this. Now, I do want to just also continue to show you kind of what I'm doing and give you those updates. I, in the next episode, have an update on how things are going with my progress and all that. So I didn't put anything in for today's video, but you can keep following along. And in the next episode, we'll continue to talk through what I'm doing. And again, you can implement some of those things that work for you and some of the tips that I use, but not everything maybe is going to vibe with you or work with you. And that's okay too. It's just doing it with you to show you that the process works, and that ultimately making sure you're getting the right amount of calories is going to be what gets you the results. And you can do that a number of ways. And so hopefully some of these tips today will be things that will help you to get to that calorie goal that you have. And if not, I've got more coming, so stick along and we'll keep going through these. All right, until the next one.